Welcome to Cameron and Christian's podcast. This is episode number 2 for the week of October 16th. And we don't have a cool name for the podcast yet, which is why I have not uttered the cool name yet. But
we're working on it.
We're working on it, and we're taking suggestions on the cool name. So if you'd like to leave suggestions on the website in the comments section or on the YouTube page in the comments section,
please do.
We will take them all under advisement.
Sure. Remember, we're coming to you live from San Francisco. And if you want to incorporate that in the name, that would be great.
And today we'll be talking about television. Last time we talked about movies. We plan to talk about TV, movies, and technology topics.
Yes. And I have a confession to make. Maybe Christian will agree with me on this, but I watch too much television. We do see a lot of movies too, of course, but television is an everyday thing. So
you turn it on when you don't mean to.
Yes, television is always there, and I think it's always been there. I just can't remember a time when TV wasn't on. When I have discussions with people that I meet, it's just like, oh yeah, remember when we were a kid and we used to watch. It's not what we used to do, what we used to play, it's what we used to watch on TV. It was Happy Days, it was, so yeah, I watch too much TV.
Careful, date yourself a little too much with the Happy Days.
Reruns, Happy Days reruns.
Happy Days reruns.
There you go. So yeah, I watch too much television, but I love it. There's so many things to watch. There's just so much, and so we're going to share some of that with you. What do you think?
You know what I hear from people sometimes when I'm talking about television is I hear every once in a while somebody says like, "Oh, I don't watch TV."
And that's great if they don't.
I don't know.
Do they not?
I know.
Are they lying?
See, well, the thing is, some people say they don't watch it. They don't even have a television. For me, that's silly because it's just a medium, It's like saying, oh, I don't read books. Like, sure, there's a lot of garbage out there. There's a lot of garbage in maybe your romance section of the bookstore,
Yeah.
There's a lot of crap out there, but there's some good stuff as well. And if you look for it, you can find it, and you can really enjoy it. There's really good television out there.
But there's a lot of crap, too, and that's what I, anyway, have to stop watching. I don't want to watch reruns of things I've seen 3 times and maybe didn't like the first time either. I just got to get the remote, turn it off, and only watch the good stuff. That's what I want to do.
And
there's
maybe
a lot of good stuff.
Turn it on only when you know what you're going to be watching.
Yes. Yes, that would be good. Okay. So, what's the first show you want to talk about today?
So today I want to talk about a show that's in its 3rd season, Veronica Mars. It's just started.
Great show.
For those of you who are fans of Buffy and Angel, fans of the Joss Whedon sensibility.
We love Joss Whedon.
Veronica Mars, I feel, really takes up the torch and gives the fans of Buffy something to really latch onto. And by that, what I mean is it provides strong, character-driven, well-plotted, really well-written television with, it doesn't have a supernatural gimmick the way that Buffy had, so it doesn't have that hook in there. It's got a little bit of the sort of, kids in school, high school, now college hook, but really it's not so much about that. It's not like a kid's show or a teenager show.
No.
It's really a show that's got snappy dialogue, really vivid characters.
Well, it's all about the relationships, and it was with Buffy too for me. When you suggested, I guess it was Chris, one of our friends, that had suggested that we check out Veronica Mars when it first started, I thought it was going to be like a Nancy Drew 90210 kind of thing, and I thought, oh my God, last thing I want to do is watch some high school detective thing. That sounds awful. But immediately, it was the relationships, it was the depth of the characters, the great relationship that Veronica has with her father and with her friends. It's almost like a smaller version of the Scooby Gang, like with Buffy and her friends, and how they really work together. And like Buffy, Veronica is she's a flawed character. I mean, she's great, she's wonderful, does amazing things, but she's not always perfect. And I think that's what really makes her a real person, almost, to me.
And for me, it's not. I always kind of worry about the whole like flawed thing, you know, like going out of your way to make a character flawed. It always seemed kind of silly to me. It's more about
But it's
making the
real.
character not flawed, but just making them real. You know,
Yeah, she makes
having them
mistakes.
connect to real emotional events, and you know, she doesn't know everything, but she's smart. For me, a big
Way smart.
yeah.
Way smart.
A big part of the show is Kristen Bell herself.
Yeah, she's so
Um,
cute.
Stunningly beautiful young
Cute.
woman.
Cute.
I love her, and she's so talented. She's a Broadway
Yeah.
quality singer and
She can
dancer.
sing.
You know, and she's a real anchor for the show, in really the same way that Sarah Michelle was for Buffy, maybe even more so. You know, she's got so much emotional range and depth. You can really connect with her character. You can really feel for her character, and you know, she doesn't have it all figured out. She's kind of an outcast, but not, you know, by her own fault. But she struggles against that.
But she always stands up for what's right. She doesn't try to fit back in with the in crowd. She always does what she thinks at the time to be the right thing, whether it goes against what the crowd it thinks is right or is cool or whatever, or what her dad wants even sometimes, and always by what her heart tells her is the right thing to do. And
Yeah.
that's what makes the character.
Great characters. Really.
Wallace is so funny. He's great. He's almost a Xander, but cooler.
Yeah, and her dad, we last saw him on that David Spade sitcom
Oh, God.
as a supporting character, but
He's way outgrown that.
yeah, he's a great emotional touchstone for her, and it's just the thing about Veronica Mars is you almost feel like you have to watch it twice every week.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
And CW is doing so poorly that you can watch it twice because
Yeah.
they actually replay their hit shows more than once a week because they don't have that many hit shows. But
Or you can download it.
so it moves so quickly. There's so
There's
much
so
going
many
on.
characters and so many subplots that it's confusing, and I actually want to watch the last episode again because I'm again already a little lost.
Yeah, and unfortunately that might scare some people off from seeing it, but
I like it better because you can watch it 2 and 3 times and still get more out of it.
yeah, it's very well written. Good show.
Great show. Highly recommend it.
What else have we been watching?
Heroes, brand new show, Heroes, which I was a little tentative about at first, getting into something else new because, yeah, already addicted to television. Do I really want to get into something else new? But this is something that automatically appeals to me as a longtime superhero fan anyway.
That's
And
what I was worried about, though. For me, having collected comic books, whenever you hear about a project like this and you don't know about it, yeah, I just kind of cringe inside. I worry, like, oh man, are they gonna pull it off?
Yeah.
Are they gonna do something really stupid? Are they gonna just make it
Is it
lame?
going to be another takeoff on X-Men, which is a lot of people were worried about that. It was just going to be another X-Men brand kind of thing, like a generic X-Men. But this is cooler than that. This is real people all of a sudden discovering that they have superpowers, and that really just gets to me. It's like everybody's fantasy, oh, I have superpowers all of a sudden, and they're all different, which is kind of X-Men like, but it's even better than that. I'm loving it. What about you?
I'm really getting a lot out of it. A lot of people are comparing it to Lost because it has some elements of this sort of underlying mystery, and I guess a lot of shows are now going to have that because Lost has been so successful.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's not doing it in a really derivative way. Not in a totally derivative way. It really feels like to me kind of like the classic days of X-Men, the X-Men that I collected when Chris Claremont was the writer, and you had this ongoing. He would throw out plot points. You would throw out story ideas that maybe just for a few panels here and there, and then it would develop later on, like 12 issues later, you would have the resolution of that plot. You know, you'd have a whole issue devoted to it. And it feels like, you know, the writers on Heroes are giving us an excuse to tune in on a regular basis. They're really giving us interesting stuff, an interesting arcing storyline that we're only discovering little bits and pieces of as we go.
It's very much pulling you along and giving you characters that you're curious about, and just little bits at a time. Especially my favorite hero, the Japanese guy. I just love him, and
Yatta!
he's so excited about it. Every time he goes "Yatta," it just takes me right back to playing that game.
Street Fighter 2.
Street Fighter. I love that game. Anyway, that's a whole other subject. But he's just so great, and he's so into it, and he's so ready to just take on the world and help people and just figure out what's going on, that hopefully he'll be one of the ones that helps pull all this together. But just these are more characters with a lot of baggage, and that makes it even more appealing. You know, the junkie artist that's the comic book artist that's predicting everything, and I don't.
It's kind of cool giving it a comic book tie-in.
Yeah.
Having the artist be the precog, you know.
Yes, I love that. I just can't wait to watch it and figure out what happens next. Find out what happens next. God, if they cancel it, I'll just die.
The Japanese guy, he's the best character, I would say. He's so much fun. I love
so much enthusiasm.
I love the
And
self-referential
innocence.
stuff too.
Yeah.
You know, like how he talks about comic books.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of people who know about comic books in the real world, and so you would have, if this happened to somebody who was an otaku
audience.
comic book geek, you know, the only unrealistic thing about him is that he's actually into American comic books
Instead of Japanese
instead of
comic
manga.
books.
You know,
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
but maybe there's some American comic book fans over there.
I'm sure there are. Just like there are
It's
lots
possible.
of Japanese comic book fans here.
It's probably more in the other direction though. It's probably more Americans who like manga than, I don't know.
I don't know. We'll have to ask.
I will have to ask him.
Tell us.
We have a friend.
You tell us.
We have a friend in Japan. He can tell
Right.
us.
Hi, Dan. Tell us. You tell us. Thank you.
And then for powers-wise, Ali Larder's character is the one who's got me the most intrigued. Maybe I just haven't figured it out
Is
yet.
she the blonde?
Yeah, she's the
one
hot
with the
blonde, the
mirrors?
internet
Yeah, I'm
web
confused
chick.
by that. Is that a superpower, or is that like being haunted by your alter ego, or?
Well, think about it. It's got to be
Scary.
something super, because she was able to single-handedly take on and kill these two mobsters who had her cornered.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
They
but
had weapons, they had everything. They had the drop on her.
right, but it seems like evil. I mean, she didn't just kill them; she flayed them
It's a
and
bit-
chopped them up or something.
It's a bit nasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bit of nastiness there.
Yeah.
And
so-
she's
and
able
she-
to avoid responsibility for the nastiness because she kind of loses herself. And
Right.
so I don't know if it's
I can't
like,
wait to find out more about that.
yeah, I don't know if it's like she actually has a parallel person in a parallel world who can kind of cross over
Through the mirrors.
through the
sometimes.
mirrors, or maybe, you know, she has these lost time episodes. Maybe like her future self goes back in the past to help her past self somehow. See, we don't know. We don't. And
Oh,
here's a good point about Heroes so far, is that they haven't over-explained the powers yet,
right.
and I really like that.
Right. I do too.
I
And
think.
I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with Greg Grunberg. Is that his name?
Yeah.
His character is very interesting too.
Yeah, and I like
like
the
him, too.
realistic
I like
side
him.
of the telepathy. You
Yeah.
know, like being instantly suspected of being a criminal just because you have picked up the name of the criminal, or you've picked up the location of the little girl that the criminal was stalking.
Right.
You know, and all of a sudden, of course, everybody's going to think it's you. You know,
Right.
and yet you're just sensing it.
Right.
And
Love
this, it points to one of the big flaws I think that George Lucas committed in the last 3 Star Wars movies, especially in the first one, in Phantom Menace. How he takes this mystical energy force, the Force, which was explained as, you know, not much more than just the life energy of the universe, and people could tap into it and use it. And then all of a sudden in Phantom Menace, oh no, it's midi-chlorians. It's reduced to mitochondria in your cells, and are you
Sounds
strong
a bit
in the
like
Force?
Scientology or
We'll just take a little blood sample from you, and then oh yeah, you're gonna be strong in the Force. Okay, let's get you some Jedi training. It's like, come on. You don't over-explain. Don't over-explain. You kill the mystery.
Yeah.
And so with heroes that feel like they are,
So far.
hopefully not going to over-explain it. Hopefully not going to give us too much. Allow us to keep
Don't
speculating.
mess it up. Note to producers, don't mess it up.
Don't mess up Heroes. It is a good show. It is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
The only problem for me, the only lame thing is the sort of the Deepak Chopra-ish frame coming in and going out. The limitless human potential of every DNA molecule. The guy whose father was tracking down these heroes, and he's kind of setting this up as that's their explanation for the powers.
That's not bothering me. I think that could be interesting as long as it's not over-explained, like you said.
It's got to be something to hold on to, but not too much.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see
We're
where
fickle.
that goes.
I'm fickle.
He's fickle. I'm open. We'll see. I'm willing to wait and see.
So check that show out. It is worth your time.
If you haven't seen either one of these shows, please check them out. I think it's worth it.
So this is Christian D.
And Cameron Lee.
Signing off from San Francisco. Thanks for watching our podcast.
And see you next time.